Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Mick. My name's Jack, the snack that smiles back, and you're here for more stories on the internet, so here you go. Am I the a-hole for leaving a girl I was on a date with after she forgot her wallet? So I don't think I did a damn thing wrong, but my friends do and suggested I post here. So recently, I went on a second date with this girl I've been talking to for a little bit. We met at a bar and got drinks on our first date, and it didn't go great. In hindsight, I should have just stopped speaking to her then, but my self-esteem is pretty much non-existent, and I'm very desperate, so I asked her out again. That is already a great start. Our date went awful. She was 20 minutes late, she was rude to me, which wasn't new, rude to waitstaff, also not new. She complained about everything from the venue, to the food, to my outfit and cologne. When the bill came, I decided I probably shouldn't ask her out again unless I really can't find someone. So when the waitress came and asked about the checks, I firmly said 2 checks. The girl then said, "You really know how to make a girl feel special. Do you not bring money on dates?" I told her I was low on cash and I couldn't afford both of ours. She then said, "Well, I didn't bring my wallet. What are you going to do?" We started bickering and the waitress said she'd come back later. During the bickering, I told her that I had the money to pay, but she has been so unpleasant and rude that I don't want to see her again, and I don't think I should pay for a meal. She got even madder. After 10 more minutes of arguing, I decided I was done. I told her I'd go talk to the waitress near the cash register and see if something could be done. I got up, walked to the register, explained the situation, and she let me pay and leave. When I got to my dorm, I got a slew of nasty texts, and basically, she was stuck there until her friend could get off of work and bring her wallet to her, which would be hours. I blocked her for now. As I said, my friends think I'm the a-hole. Am I the a-hole? Some thoughts. Everyone sucks here. Her much more so, obviously, and I also don't care that you gave her another shot after the bad first date. What makes you also the a-hole is that you basically made this awful woman your waitress's problem while you bailed. Yeah, I'm gonna say, Yata, you asked her out for dinner. If you're the one doing the asking, you pay. You also knew she wasn't very nice before you took her out, but you asked her out because you wanted to boost your self-esteem. Then you decided she should pay, not because you were always under the impression that you were going to go Dutch, but because she acted in the exact way you expected her to. She may just generally be an a-hole in life, but in this instance, you're the a-hole. Meanwhile, Nata, she didn't forget her wallet, she left it at home to force you to pay. I'm sure she had a phone on her. This isn't the 90s. There are so many ways to access your own money. But that said, what the hell are you doing dating someone who you clearly don't mix with and treats you like dirt? Part of me wants to say you kinda deserved this. Like when you say you're desperate for what? What, to get laid? Like it really feels like you're just being served the toxic version of your own mindset towards getting with someone. But that said, I mean, I do feel like he's absolutely right just to walk out on her. But was he in the wrong for the fact that he asked her out yet didn't offer anything for taking her out? She kinda got dragged into a night out and he just basically left her to deal with it all afterwards. What are your thoughts though? You could argue his own lack of self-esteem made him struggle in this moment too. Next story, am I the a-hole for refusing to give my house to my sister? So, me and my boyfriend recently bought a house together. We're both 25, and we were able to buy a house relatively early since houses aren't too expensive where I am. We also live with our 6-month-old Bernedoodle puppy and our 5-year-old bulldog who we rescued. We don't plan on having children, so the primary reasons for buying a house was to have room for ourselves and our dogs. I should note that my parents are supportive of my decision. My sister, who is 26, is not child-free, however. She currently has a 1-year-old daughter and recently found out she is pregnant again. Last week, she called me to ask if she could live in our house. Now, she offered to pay £1,200 a month in rent so that we could rent out a nice place of our own. I asked why she wanted to do this, and she explained that she wants room for her children. Our house has 4 bedrooms, which is quite large for a house in the UK. I explained to her that as much as I would like to be able to help her, me and my boyfriend worked hard to buy a house, so we didn't want to leave and go back to renting. She immediately got really ticked off with me. She said that I'm selfish for buying a house when I don't want kids, when there are so many families, such as hers, who could use my house. She also critiqued me for buying a Bernedoodle puppy. Side note, we would have rescued if we could. However, none of the rescues in our area had a Bernedoodle, so we made sure to buy from a reputable breeder. After I told her that she wouldn't be getting to live in my house, she told me that my husband will never have a family, regardless of how many mutts we fill it with. I haven't spoken to her since. Today, my father called me. Oh, of course he did. I told him about how ridiculous my sister was being. He sided with her, although not nearly as crazily. He said that I should think about it, since I'd be doing my sister a favor. Am I the a-hole for not doing this for my sister? So first of all, ignore the dad. He's totally just sick of dealing with his daughter's scrambling. To quote this comment, Nata, your dad can give her his house as a favor. Now, unfortunately, because this OP started mentioning about dog breeds, all the Yatas and everyone sucks here are just focusing entirely on that. Like, okay, yeah, you're totally right. You should adopt instead of breeding, but that's not the point here. The sister is sound in her reasoning. I mean, your space is technically a good space to raise a child. I mean, you're privileged in getting to buy your own property. Would it not be generous to allow your sister a chance to raise her children in a very comfortable home? Or does she have every right to be somewhat selfish in this scenario? Side note to add, where's the dad in all this? Next story from Relationship Advice. My girlfriend has a box of all our used mayonnaise bags. I'm a bit creeped out and don't know what to do. I'm a 20-year-old male and I started going out with my girlfriend, 22, in April. She's my first girlfriend and everything. Oh, what a terrible way to be introduced to dating. You are going to need therapy. Well, other day I was at her place and went to the bathroom to get towels. I found this shoebox on the rack. I don't know why I felt like snooping. Kinda wish I hadn't. Because in there, I found a Ziploc bag and several used mayonnaise bags. It freaked me out a bit. My girlfriend got all red when I asked her. She said she's sorry if that's weird to me, but she likes to keep them every time we get it on because it's memorable to her. Madam, there are so many ways to be more memorable with your kinky times. You can take photos. Just, does that not create a smell? I mean, we have it on and I dump it in the trash, which means she fishes it out. I didn't say anything after because my brain was still going, what the frick? But I can't stop thinking about it. Like I said, she's my first girlfriend. Like, is this not that big of a deal? Should I tell her it has me a bit creeped out that she's keeping our used stuff? Or, like, what would you guys do? Sir, I would flee. I mean, I don't mean to be one of those people on Reddit that just says break up straight away, but this is dangerous levels of infatuation for a partner. Like, again, there are so many ways to be memorable with your relationship. Banking your fluids that can help you have a baby? Yeah, no. Next, less creepy story. My girlfriend's put a camera in our room. My girlfriend, who's 25, put a camera in our room. We went on a camping trip where I spent my weekend off from work there with my girlfriend, her kids, and her grandparents. It was a great trip, and I loved spending my time away from everything. I had to come home early because I had to work, and her staying for a few more days since she is only a part-time worker. I came home and have worked the last 2 days, and she is coming home tonight. She is camping where there is no cell reception, so I cannot talk to her until she is back in reception. I knew the battery on the driveway camera was probably getting low, so I pulled up the app to see how much battery life there was. I noticed then that our other camera was not where it normally was, but actually on a shelf in our bedroom overlooking our bed. I am furious and concerned. I deleted all the data and video for the last few days because I felt semi-violated and irritated. I also happened to play with myself once, and I don't want to see that or have anyone else ever see that. I'm not sure what to do now since I truly do care and love her, but I feel betrayed and feel like she doesn't trust me. I mean, there was one rough patch in our relationship before where I can get her fear. At one time, I had a friend who grew fond of me, and she had expressed her interest in dating me. I turned her down, but I had kept a friendship that was misleading to my girlfriend. I terminated that friendship for my relationship, and I was okay with that. So how do I handle this situation? How do I confront her about this? What do I do? It is her house, so I would have to move out if it doesn't work, and unfortunately she used all of my paycheck for the bills of the house, so I would not be able to afford a new place until next month, which is 23 days away. It's a tricky one because it's an invasion of privacy, yeah, but it's also her house. Like, she's allowed to put security where she likes. But that said, it's not like as if you've actually cheated on her in the past, so there was really an unfair call for her to do this without it actually at least letting you know. Clearly clearly there's a degree of trust issues that either she needs to work on or you need to prove. That said, I think you deleting all the footage before she came back really makes you look suspicious. Next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out of my sister's birthday gathering after she announced her engagement? Me and my sister lost our mum since we were kids, and my dad married a single mum who had a son 2 years older than me. Our stepbrother was nasty, selfish, and used to take my things and ruin them under the guise of borrowing. He bullied me, especially because of how weak and thin I was. I was dealing with health problems, and still am. He even got to my school friends and turned them against me by spreading lies and rumors. We were kids at the time, but I resented him, and I still do. I can't contact with him after I moved away for college, but kept in touch with my youngest sister, who's 21. We maintained a great sisterly bond, and because of that, I'd visit regularly, since she's still living with my dad. Normally, my sister would tell me secrets, but no longer does, and I figured it's because of distance and me being busy with college. She used to tell me about her previous boyfriends, but not anymore. When I asked, she'd say that she's on a break. 2 weeks ago, I returned home to attend her 21st birthday party that was held at my parents' house. I saw my stepbrother there, which made me feel uncomfortable. My sister was sitting next to him the entire time and were acting strange. Not like normal step-siblings, but I didn't pass much attention to it. After she opened her gifts, she said she wanted to tell us something. She seemed very, very irritable and nervous. She talked about Mum's death, stepmom's present in our life, and the situations we've gone through. Then she asked my stepbrother to join her, and he stood next to her and held her hand as she lifted her other hand, saying she and my stepbrother just got engaged. I was dumbfounded, absolutely shocked. All I could hear was my stepmom and aunt yelling at them, calling them names. My sister defended herself, saying they were never siblings and they needed to stop yelling, but my stepmom did not stop. I looked and saw my dad looking stunned. I calmly got up, took my bag, and walked out immediately, leaving them yelling at each other. Yeah, I don't blame you. Oh man, that is a nope situation I would purposely learn backflipping in just so I could professionally dart out of that environment. 2 hours-ish later, my sister called crying, asking where I went and why I left when she needed my support and protection from that woman. She went on about how I should have defended her against the family, but I firmly told her it was none of my business, and she needed to figure her own mess out. She kept crying, saying I wasn't a true sister and that she would have done a lot more if that was me. I told her I'd never think of getting together with my sister's bully, who's her stepbrother, much less announce our engagement. I hung up and she didn't stop her guilting texts about how I'm making this about me and not considering what she really wants. She said I was being judgmental just like everyone else. I haven't talked to her since then. For better context, I'm 23, sister is 21, and stepbrother is 25. So, the people's thoughts. You are the a-hole. If two consenting adults who aren't related who want to get married, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Your initial reaction of shock and dumbfoundedness is understandable. Continuing to be unsupportive and judgmental is cruel. Ooh, everyone sucks here, but nobody more than your stepmother and aunt. Look, your stepbrother was an a-hole, but as a child. Like, you don't give his age at the time, so in absence of that information, I'll assume it wasn't in the final year of school or any form of recent history. Have you ever considered that it was the reaction of the breakup of his own family and having two kid sisters and a new dad foisted upon him? But the popular vote, Nata, what the frick? That's disgusting in so many ways. Y'all were raised as siblings. I can maybe understand if someone's parents remarried when they were adults and they hit it off with a step-parent's kid, maybe. But this is absolutely disgusting. I think you did make it all about you. Let's be honest. Don't judge someone's character based on their childhood behavior. I mean, at least give them the chance to have proven they've matured. Like, if you genuinely think your stepbrother was a horrible person just because he was a horrible person, then no, you're an idiot. But that said, I guess the main issue here is it a big deal about the step-siblings getting engaged? Like, yeah, they're not really blood-related. They are adults. But I also have to wonder about their 4-year age gap, especially when they were growing up together. Like, what do you do with that? Obviously, it gives off huge incest vibes. But again, not blood-related, and now adults. Is it still something we just have to learn to tolerate? Let's go on to the next story. Our friends find our relationship weird. Me, a 19-year-old female, and my boyfriend who's 20 have been together for 10 months. We were best friends prior to dating and have always been super close. Now on to the situation. We had a film night with a couple of our friends last night, and halfway through, he fell asleep laying on my shoulder. We had brunch plans with his mum for today, and she told us she would text us the details that night in our group chat. I heard both our phones go off at the same time, so I assumed it was his mum. Because he was asleep on my shoulder, I couldn't reach my phone, which was in my pocket, so because I didn't want to wake him, I grabbed his phone, which was right next to him, to check the text. I thought nothing of it, texted her that she was asleep and we were happy with the restaurant and put his phone back. Later that night, he got spammed by the boys saying that I'm toxic and that I checked his phone whilst he was asleep. The girls also texted me calling me a manipulative, controlling bitch. He sees nothing wrong with what I did and neither did I. We both have each other's passwords and Face ID and have since before we started dating. Are we doing something wrong? I think it's so easy to jump to, yes, you shouldn't invade each other's privacy. But, I mean, shut up. You clearly trust each other, especially if you've been long-term friends this entire time. I think your friends have just read too many Reddit stories about relationship drama and trust issues. You can set your own privacy standards in your own relationship. Don't force your own ideals about how it's done onto others, though. Next story, am I the a-hole for telling this artist to go away and let the kids have their fun? My family owns a restaurant, and we have a little asphalted area outside for kids to draw on with chalk. Yesterday, some Instagram wannabe influencer dude came to our restaurant, ordered some food and drinks, and afterwards started drawing on the asphalted kids area, which led to all the kids leaving the area. He started drawing some 3D art over the whole asphalted area, and I have to say it looked amazing. But honestly, I couldn't care less because he scared all the kids away from having their fun with his presence. So I walked up to him, told him it looked amazing, and kindly asked him to leave the kids area because, well, it's meant for kids, and there currently weren't any there because of him. He told me he'd just finish it for his Instagram and be gone. I insisted he'd leave now, and then he threw a tantrum and took off swearing. Am I the a-hole? Oof, I'm stuck with this one. Maybe it's the trauma of how many times I've read entitled people do this kind of thing on this sub. But, like, it doesn't mention if you owned that area. Merely just mentioning that you supply chalk for the kids. And I mean, the guy even purchased at your establishment. So if you argue that it is private property, yet anyone can access it, then really he has paid for his chance to use this space. I mean, paid more than the kids did after all. But also on that note too, if you own this space, then yeah, you get to dictate what happens on it. And if you want someone to frick off, then I guess you have every right to do so. But that's it, I don't know, it still comes across as a bit of an a-hole to me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for basically making my boyfriend homeless? So recently I, 20-year-old female, broke up with my boyfriend who's 23, who I'll call B. I broke up with him for many reasons, and overall, it was pretty mutual, so I could see he didn't really want to be in the relationship either. Before we broke up, I had already decided to move out of the apartment we shared as I wanted him to grow up on his own. I haven't moved out yet as I'm waiting for my mum to buy a house. When she does, I'm moving there so I can start paying off a lot of debt that I got from being with B. On top of this, B just got fired, and we are just starting to get back on our feet and have no money in savings. With me moving out, he can't keep the apartment if I take my name off the lease because he can't show proof of income. I feel bad for saying that we should give out 2-month notice, but I don't want my name on a place that I'm not living at, especially when I know he won't be making rent for at least a little while, but most likely the whole time since he can't get a high-paying job. Unfortunately for B, his parents don't want or even won't let him move back home, and he can't afford any other apartments in our area. By making him give the 2-month notice, I am essentially making him homeless. Now some background, he was unemployed for 6 months last year and barely tried to get a job then, so with him getting fired, I don't think he will be able to pay rent ever, and I don't trust him to, and I don't want an eviction in my record. So, am I the a-hole? The Natars are pretty mutual on this one. I mean, yeah, you broke up. He's not your responsibility anymore. And also, this predicament he's in really sounds like it's on him to deal with. Like, it's not like you owned this place and you were paying for everything and then decided to suddenly leave and leave it all on him to deal with. Maybe if you left him with an expensive car to take care of, etc., I'd understand why you could be an a-hole to do that. But otherwise, it's a simple bye-bye, see you later, submit that notice, and get out of there. Next story. Would I be the a-hole if I reported my stepdad to ICE? Okay, so I'm an 18-year-old male, and I'm wondering if I'll be the a-hole for what I may or may not do. I have 2 older sisters, 20 and 22, and 2 younger brothers, 12 and 9. This is about my sister, who's the 20-year-old, and my stepdad, who's 40. Lately, they have been arguing with each other each day for almost a week, but today was their biggest one. My stepdad and sister just had a massive argument about cleaning the bathroom that resulted in my stepdad saying that my sister will not be allowed to use it ever again and should go to her boyfriend's place or a gas station if she wants to relieve herself. However, after a few hours, my sister slipped and fell and needed to use the bathroom, but that started another argument. I'm worried that this will continue to escalate and my sister end up hurt. Now, some background info. My stepdad is a very short temper and escalates problems, like even small ones. First example, on our way to church, we ordered food from a Burger King, and when finding out that they forgot to put in a cheeseburger, my stepdad quickly made a U-turn, almost get hit by another car, and screaming at the cashier. Another example, this happened years ago when I was 11 or 12. My mom and stepdad had an argument and ended up with the cops being called. Now, the next thing I'm worried about is my mom kicking me out or going back to Mexico with my younger siblings, or me defending myself from her background. Another background info, my mom is abusive. I can't give any specific details, but we'll say this. Once my sister, who's the 22-year-old, went to high school, she got in with a bad crowd and she would cause trouble, like running away, sneaking out at night, fighting, etc. CPS was called, my sister left, and was adopted by a great family. My mom, however, didn't care. She wasn't sad or regretful of what she did. However, these days, she rarely places her hands on us, especially my younger brothers, as they are the favorites. Both my mom and stepdad would throw parties to buy iPhones, iTunes, cars, PCs, everything. Why I think I may be the a-hole is that I'm worried for my younger brothers if they may lose a father and have their world turned upside down if my mom decides to move to Mexico, because both my brothers know very little Spanish and will end up having a hard time in school. Natar, please call CPS and the police and say you're scared of what will happen if no one intervenes. Please understand, getting help should be your only priority, not protecting your abusers. You're the a-hole. Deportation doesn't sound like it would help your siblings out when they need to rely on an adult. Also, for a situation like this, why is ICE your first option and not CPS as the others have suggested? That is the popular thought on this story. I do have to theorize that maybe they meant CPS. So based on that idea, because again, why are they referring to ICE when there's no proof of them being undocumented immigrants or any of that BS? The stepdad definitely has the history of being problematic as a parent, but I don't think shouting matches are going to be enough to really get him in line. Not to say it's excusable or totally fine as a parent, but I also just think that your parents in general are terrible people. That said, I noticed that after your sister was left to another family, your mother wasn't putting her hands or being an issue towards any of you. I know you say that she didn't seem to care at all, but I don't know, seems like maybe she was just really good at hiding it from you. Hi, hello, welcome to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time here today, and if you could show your support and love for me by liking this video and subscribing and all that, I would absolutely devour you with affection. Not like a murderer. Be sure to come back next time for some more stories, and with all that said, my name has been Jack. You have been a lovely person to speak to today, and I will see you next time.